It's Mo and Tiff.
Hello, nice to see you. Do you know, I said that as I've not seen him for ages.
You just saw me 2 minutes ago in there.
I know. I know, well, I'm trying to sort of jiggle it up a bit, give a nice intro.
Oh, what have I done now?
Oh, no.
What do you want me for?
What I want you for is, as you are aware, the other week I had a little incident with some fluid on a machine, which
You
sounds
mean your
really
MacBook?
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to, sort out a new one. So I ended up on YouTube.
Oh dear.
It got bad, actually, because not only did I watch unboxing of new MacBooks, I actually watched reaction videos to unboxing of MacBooks.
What's the welcome to? I'm unboxing this. I'm reacting to his video. Look at him unbox that. He's doing it wrong. What the fuck? But people watch it. I mean, I saw one the other week, and I didn't watch all of it.
I bet you
But
did.
it was like,
Go on.
it was actually a guy, and he's like, he sat in his bedroom with his little KRK monitors. He's like, I'm a professional engineer, and it's like, oh, go on then. He goes, and I've just watched this video, and I'm reacting to how he said do this, and they're arguing between themselves. It's like somebody does something, and somebody goes up and argues against it, and it's like, what the
Isn't that meant to be a sign of madness when you argue with yourself?
People watch this shit, and the thing is, he watched it because he had like 24 million views. What the fuck is wrong with people today? Shouldn't he be at home making music rather than listening to this fucking idiot? Oh, I don't think he does that right.
If anybody does a reaction video to watching our podcast, please let me know.
Somebody arguing. Well, I don't think he's right. I don't give a fuck.
Anyway, back to music production. Where this was going is, right, I caught, because down the side after I'd watched my videos on my reactions.
Oh, it's just on YouTube down there. Yeah.
It had some music production video.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I got sucked in.
The human centipede of education.
Yes.
Can go on.
And there was, virtually every single one of them was using a tool, which I'd like you to talk to me about.
They're all tools.
They're all using something called an FFT. So I want you, first of all, tell me what FFT stands for, and then give me a quick description.
Quick description. Right, FFT is fast Fourier transform. Now, I hope that my university professor isn't listening because I'm going back quite a way and I'm trying to remember this because he wasn't the most interesting guy. I think it was Jean Fourier in the 18-somethings,
I think it's about
1840s.
22.
Was it
1822?
Oh, yeah, you've been looking this up. You just did me look like an idiot. I know he was in the 1800s. And basically, he postulated that you could take time domain and convert it into frequency domain.
Okay.
And that's about as much as I can tell you about Jean Fourier. I know he was a physicist and he did some other shit as well with heat.
Okay. I can add to it
Oh, go on.
that apparently it's the most important numerical algorithm of our lifetime.
And where
And
did
it's in
you
the
learn this?
And it's in the top 10 algorithm. I didn't even know there was a top 10 algorithms.
See, this is somebody bored on the internet. Let's find the top 10 algorithm. I'm bored. Well, number 1, 2 plus 2. Number 2.
Oh, dear. Well, that actually was on Wikipedia.
Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I call it Wikipedia.
Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Wikipedia. Oh,
Weren't you on
Wikipedia's just...
Wikipedia? You've got to share this. This is hilarious.
I was on Wikipedia. And the problem is that anyone can go up and edit it. So it was like, first of all, I was collecting garden gnomes. It was a
I
massive
can't
garden.
imagine anybody putting that up.
And then I had it taken down. And I was like, this is right. And then somebody else put up that I collected mushrooms, garden mushrooms. Like, what the fuck? So in the end, I just got it removed. I was just like, if anybody needs to know anything, just go to the website. Fucking this shit. I collect garden gnomes. I was getting emails. Do you have such a thing with the fishing rod from 1820? What are you talking about? I don't collect them.
I'm sure he does. So going back to FFTs, and music production, because whenever you do look up FFTs, they talk about it being used a lot in music production.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a good way to work?
No.
Oh, that was very short and sweet. Do you know that
Well,
it's so
me.
concise? Go on, why?
I always say that an FFT is like picking up a microwave meal, looking at the protein on the back of it and saying, oh, that's how it's going to taste. The reason I say that is because you've got to know... Can I go into mathematics here a bit?
Yes, I'll go into
simple.
mathematics. Just bear in mind that, if people are on a podcast, they might just be listening.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. So let's start with film. If we imagine film...
Yes.
Film is a series of photographs, one played after the other, 24 times a second. So there's 24 pictures every second, or if you're American, 29.97 or something like that. And by playing them one after the other, it creates movement.
Okay.
FFT does the same thing. What it does is it analyzes the audio, it takes a picture of it, and then takes another picture, and then plays it one after the other.
Right.
And that's how we see the FFT moving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, what we have is when it's taking a picture of the audio, it has a certain exposure time, the amount of time it looks at that audio before it displays it.
Okay.
Now, most people work at what we call about 2048 samples on an FFT.
Mm-hmm.
Now, roughly, you don't quote me on this because I'm doing all this math in my head, I would say that 2048 samples is about 5.3 milliseconds. So we've got a 5.3 millisecond window exposure time.
Okay.
And then it takes the next picture for 5.3 milliseconds, then the next one, and it displays them one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, in order to measure something accurately in audio, we need to measure one complete cycle.
Yep.
Now, obviously, high frequencies are very short cycles, low frequencies are very long cycles. Now, when we look at wavelengths, we kind of say that 5.3 milliseconds is roughly about 172 hertz.
Okay.
So basically, if our exposure time is 5.3 milliseconds, it can only measure accurately down to 172 hertz. Any frequencies occurring below that will not be displayed accurately because it can't measure the complete waveform. The only way to measure the complete waveform of lower frequencies would be to increase the exposure time.
Nobody ever does that.
Well, the problem is if you increase the exposure time to capture like 20 hertz and 30 hertz, the exposure time has to be so long that the refresh rate becomes so slow, you don't see movement. You just see a jagged picture and a jagged picture and a jagged picture.
All right.
And the thing is, you've also got to imagine that if you're taking like a 12 millisecond exposure time, how is the audio changing over them 12 milliseconds? How do you picture that?
Okay, so you're saying that really we can't use the FFT for that low end?
No, it won't work.
Okay, so if we can't use an FFT for the low end, what can we do?
Buy good speakers that will represent the low end properly.
Okay, so when you say buy good speakers, and I'm prepared already now, we'll probably get hate mail for this bit, but just go on, tell us what you mean when you say good speakers.
You're looking at spending about £15,000 to £20,000 on a good pair of monitors.
Right, okay. Well, not everybody has that kind of money, either because, first of all, it's not their profession, so they're not investing in it. Or secondly, it's a hobby, or it's just the financial situation. They're not in that position yet to do that investment.
I can understand that. I can understand. Somebody says go out and spend 20 grand on a pair of monitors. It was easy for you to say, isn't it?
It sounds very flippant.
It does. I mean, but I didn't flippantly go out and spend £20,000 on a pair of monitors.
No, you do tend to build up to your
yeah, you
gear,
do,
don't you?
But the thing is, what people need to recognise, if you're doing this as a hobby, fine, have loads of fun doing it. But if you want to sit there and go, well, I'm a professional and I want to release music, you've got to realise that what we do is a profession. And it's like, as you know, I was a mechanic.
Yeah.
I didn't go working at Mercedes with a load of Draper or Halford's fucking tools. I had Snap-on tools because I was a professional with professional tools.
Well, I was going to say as well, I go and get my hair cut by a professional.
Yeah.
I'd be devastated if they brought out some sort of scissors out of the kitchen drawer.
Well, that's it. It's like a surgeon. Well, where'd you get your knife? Hobbycraft last week, $2.99. Yeah. I'm going to slice you open now. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, you've got to realise that what we are doing is a profession. And I think this is part of what annoys me when people go, well, I produce and I mix and master my own music. It's like, do you cut your own fucking hair too? Just because you can grow it doesn't mean you should cut it as well.
No.
And this is the problem, that they can't hear that low end. And I think what we need to start to do is, if you want to do this professionally, you've got to start to accept that you are going to be limited. You can't rely on an FFT. And I mean, you've got to look, we run a studio here. There's a reason that we are still existing here. And that is because professional artists understand their limitations and send things to us, because we have the equipment to hear and edit. Because it's not just your speakers, it's your entire chain, isn't it? I mean, you know, what have we got? £8,000 on converters.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just converters. And this is the thing, you know, professionals realise this, understand it, and go, right, well, I'm going to send it off now to somebody who can hear what's going on in that low end, and I'm going to get them to do it.
So you just mentioned something about, you know, people accepting their limitations. And I know you have a fantastic saying about this. Now, listen closely, everyone, because this is something that you're going to learn. And even if you ignore us about the FFT bit, learn this bit, because this is something you'll share on Sunday lunch.
Well, I mean, you can ignore us over the FFT, but, you know, you're arguing science. I'm not giving an opinion. I'm telling you the science. But people always...
Well, this is it, though.
I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me. It's fucking science. You're disagreeing with physicists over hundreds of years, not me. I think you're on about the Dunning-Kruger effect.
I am. I love this.
And basically, what the Dunning-Kruger effect is that if you are incompetent, you don't possess the skills to recognise that incompetence, which is basically, a fool doesn't recognise his own foolishness. Now, you're going to be aware of this.
Yes.
Because I've done the same.
Yes.
When I first started out in this, which was just a few years ago,
Go on.
I had a 4-track tape machine, and I used to do my music to 4-track tape.
Yeah.
Then I would take it to a studio, and I'd pay to have it put onto DAT, and then I'd take the DAT over to these two guys in Manchester near the Vinyl Exchange, and they would put it onto a dub plate, which is vinyl. They'd take the DAT dub plate, and then I'd take the dub plate to the Hacienda. I'd give it to
that was a long time ago, because it's not there anymore.
I know, it closed in 92, 93, Hacienda.
There's apartments there, go on, in the garage.
I know. They're actually getting sued for that, because they did the Hacienda kind of landing.
And every once a year, I think they do an event where they clear the garage of the people parking in there, and they do an event.
Oh, well, there you go.
There you go. Well,
But
full
anyway,
of rubbish.
I used to take them and give them to the DJs, because they're like John De Silva and Graham Park and things like that. So you used to give them to the DJs. So you just play this out, you know, in the middle of your set and see how it goes. And, you know, they play it out and the dance floor would empty. And I would be sat there thinking, they're just not ready for me yet. They're not ready for my level of skill. They just don't understand good music yet. I will redefine the future of music. And it wasn't
and
that.
did you?
No, it was because I was shit. But I couldn't, I was so incompetent, I couldn't recognise how incompetent I was. You know, and the audience were the judge.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, you know, if at college, you know, or university, you hand a paper to your professor and you think, this is an excellent paper, this is going to win me, you know, I'm going to get everything with this. And he sends it back and he goes, it's a C, it's shit. You know, if you sit there and go, well, what does he know? I know I'm right. Again, that's your level of incompetence. You don't recognise your own lack of skill. And this is what we come to. It's like when people say, I mix my own music. It's like, the problem is that you mix it, but you don't recognise you are not very good at mixing. Yeah. And this is the whole problem that we have today. People think, I'll just go on YouTube and, oh, this guy's got 10 million views, therefore, you know, he doesn't need an education. You know, we're missing education out here, and we kind of go, well, you know, he's got 10 million views, so he must know what he's on about, rather than somebody, you know, who's got a PhD, who's like, well, I'm not going to listen to him. He's only got 3 views, but he's got 10 million. He knows what he's on about.
I like it when we work with people and you tell them something, and then they don't listen, and then they come back and say, you know, if you do such a thing, as I heard it from somewhere else.
I know we get that loads. I'm like, no, what you need to do is this, and this. No, I don't think. No, do this. And then they come back a month later. If I do this and this, it sounds right. It's like, well, I fucking told you that a month ago. You should fucking listen to me. I think people need confirmation. They need confirmation from someone. And the problem we have today is that a lot of people on YouTube are uneducated or ill-educated or only... I'm not knocking them.
I think they have a little piece of... some of them have a little piece of knowledge, and then they embellish it, or they've been given the wrong knowledge. They've learnt it slightly and misunderstood it wrong, and then when their interpretation of it isn't quite right.
It's Chinese whispers,
Yeah.
you know, this, and then they convert it slightly. You know, you say chocolate on one end and it comes out egg the other, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so it's Chinese whispers, and they kind of miss the whole point of it. And then they sit there with FFTs going, yeah, I can't hear my low end, but it's all right, I'll use my FFT. It's like, well, that's completely fucking inaccurate anyway. It's not telling you anything now. What are you doing?
So, just to round things off, you're not going to recommend using FFTs.
No, I mean, this is the thing when you get it up on EQs, you know, when you have an EQ and it's like, turn your FFT on, you know, you can see it underneath your EQ, turn it off. Because you're supposed to be listening to what you're doing. And if you can't hear what you're doing, then don't you think you should be investing in monitors? I mean, if you're sat there going, well, I can't actually hear this music, well, shouldn't you buy a pair of headphones so you can actually hear it? Do you know, it's this craziness of, well, I can't hear it. Well, if you can't hear it, you've got a fucking problem, haven't you? Because that's what this is all about. You know, Joe Public isn't going to be down there going, I can tell that he's got this on an FFT. Yeah, this is nailed. He's not. He's going to go, fuck, that low end sounds like shit. And this is, you know, if you recognise that you can't do it, that is your first step. This again, we're going to Dunning-Kruger. If you recognise you can't use an FFT.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people won't accept this, and I don't care what you think. I'm talking science. I'm not talking opinion.
No.
But you can't use an FFT, and if you know you cannot hear it, then get a professional to do it for you. If you want to do this professionally. If you're just doing it as a hobby, play away. You know, do what the fuck you want. I don't care.
Because they can also do things like stem mastering. They don't have to just get the track done at the very end. They could have stem mastering.
I mean, if you're struggling with your low end, I mean, you're kicking your basses, everything in music. That is the fundamental groove, and it's really important that they tie together in such a beautiful way, which is another topic altogether. But you know, if you don't have the capabilities to hear what's going on down there, send it off and get it stem mastered. There's plenty of companies that do stem mastering. I mean, we do stem mastering.
Yeah.
You know, so you send it to somebody who will stem master it. Just make sure that whoever you're sending it to isn't sat there with a dodgy copy of Ableton and a pair of headphones going, I'm a producer and I'm mastering, I could do this for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's also not just knowing that the FFTs don't work, that if you're then paying somebody as a professional to do something, be very aware, do your research.
Oh, definitely, because there's a lot of pretenders out there who are using it. You know, a dodgy copies of Waves plugins and, you know, a dodgy copy of Ableton or whatever, and sat with a pair of headphones going, yeah, I'm all right, I could do this, 20 quid, mate, I'll do it. You know, and it sounds like shit.
You say 20 quid, I'm gonna jump in there. And I mean, recently I've seen a couple of people that have had their fingers badly burnt by people claiming to be professionals, and they've wrecked their music. So,
well, it's so easy today, though, isn't it? To just go, yeah, I'm a professional. Again, Dunning-Kruger. It's the Dunning. You know, I mean, I'm so incompetent. I don't recognise how incompetent I am. So I'm a mix engineer. I'm great.
Well, I think you have the Dunning-Kruger effect, and I'm going to say this: there's a lot of claims that people make on their websites that, you know, they claim to have worked with different people or done things, and it's just.
Well, yeah, this is the problem. I mean, but there's no way to fight it.
I diverged off, sorry.
I think you've just got to do your research. You've got to make sure. I mean, the thing, this is one of the things, I've always said this, right? When you are starting out or when you're mid, when you're not quite professional, you don't recognise that you need somebody else to do it for you. So you think you can mix and master yourself. Same as you think, you know, I'm going to an important meeting, I'm going to cut my own hair.
Yeah.
You know, you see, you think you can do it all yourself because you're a genius and you're fantastic. And what happens then is you get the professionals who kind of go, shit, I know I can't do this myself. I need somebody else to come in and help me do this. And the thing is with a professional, they recognise a professional knows what he's looking for. You know, because if you're a professional at this, like, I mean, we were working with Nicky Holloway, weren't we?
Yeah.
If you're a professional like that, he knew that we could master it a lot better than he could.
Yes.
Because we have the equipment. And obviously he did his research. He looked us up and he saw the studio and thought, fuck yeah, they've got some serious gear there. You know, I mean, if as a professional, you don't look at someone and think, oh, they've got less gear than me, I'm going to go to them. You know, so it is kind of a sense thing. You know, you got to have a bit of common sense about you and go, well, you know, what gear have they got?
Yeah,
because that gear is going to represent what you do.
Maybe the years of experience they might have had. You know, things like that. I mean, yeah, you've got a very good track record.
I've only been doing it 2 years. I'm a genius. I've been doing it 2 years and I'm brilliant. The Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. Right. Well, I'm going to let you get back to work. I think we've learned enough about FFTs. I think I'm just going to forget about them.
Well, yeah, no, just prepared for the hate mail. No, I disagree with you. Oh, disagree with Jean Fourier. Go and dig him up and disagree, shout at him. I don't care.
You see, that's the beauty of the world we have today. People can disagree with us and they don't have to listen if they don't like it.
Well, no, I mean, I remember having an argument on Facebook about FFTs, and the guy's like, yeah, but that's your opinion. It's like, no, it's not my fucking opinion. This is the science I'm talking about. My opinion's completely separate from the science. I'm giving you factual information that is based around science. Oh, it's just your opinion. Oh, for fuck's sake. This is why I'm not on Facebook. It's like, whatever, mate. It's my opinion.
Right. Now, back to work.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
It's Mo and Tiff.